It's up.
All
Jesus.
right.
I take full responsibility for this one. Well, it took us a month, but we're back. We are back.
Yeah.
With so much to talk about for show 110. Ooh, a quick update. We are kicking butt on subscribers, by the way. I think we picked up quite a few. What are we up to? What the? 527. Yeah.
Yep.
Hoorah!
Sweet.
All right, let's go. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. Howdy. Welcome. Not Your Average Show. Mike Corey here with you. It is, July 14th, 2022.
1/4.
Huh?
14th. 14th, yep.
Yeah. Sorry for the delay. We my fault. I had to go outside and watch the launch, and it was actually pretty badass. So and it was loud, and I might have to just post the video of that to our site anyhow here. But
Might as well.
how are you, Corey?
Doing well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, for you guys, it's a crew resupply. It was a resupply mission to the ISS. Just took off minutes ago, as of this recording.
Yep.
And first stage is already returned to the drone ship, right in the middle, like you'd love to see. So yeah, it's all looking good.
That is the way you want to see it. So how are you? How's everything else going?
Going okay, yeah. Just keeping on. Yeah, it's going okay. It's super hot here right now. I mean, you would know that too.
Yes. We are a little warmer than
But
average.
it's just we're down in Florida, and it's just heat indexes are 105, 103 lately, so it's just hot.
One of the hotter summers I can remember. And our rain has been weird because normally we get like the late afternoon.
Oh man.
And it's been like late night rain lately, and we're late on that because normally that's like a June-May event, and it's happening now midsummer, which normally our thunderstorms are like 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock done.
Mm-hmm.
And
we were talking about it here just yesterday because, like you said, we're getting them later, but they are very powerful, like lots of thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
And not torrential rain, pretty good amount of rainfall. I mean, for Florida, it's a pretty good amount of rain. But I mean, the thunder is just epic. I mean, I like thunder and lightning too, but it's been pretty epic lately.
And the funny part, well, not funny part, but the really interesting part is that the tops on these bad boys have, normally we're seeing 38,000 on the regular, and you see the occasional 40.
They're like 50.
Yeah, you see the occasional 40, and you're like, there's been like 7 or 8 in the last 2 weeks that have all hit 50,000 feet, and those are monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And because
some big tall clouds.
Yeah, especially when they blossom over Orlando, because the funniest part is the sun literally sets at 7:30 instead of 8:30 like it should, because it goes behind a 50,000 foot cumulus cloud that is pretty active. So that's kind of nice.
There's a lot of energy going on lately here, so
all right,
it's pretty interesting and fascinating,
all at the same time. And so tonight we got a lot for you. We have another study on video games that comes out that says it might not be all bad news for video gamers, and we got also looking at the Flaris. What is it? Hold on, I gotta get this right. It's the LAR01, right?
LAR01.
01.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
And that's their take on the very light jet, which is actually it's pretty cool. They got some neat stats, and Corey's gonna do that one for us. And then we're gonna look at Rolls-Royce making its jump into the Turbogenerator segment, something that they've been creating for the VTOL market. Not much unlike what Jet Terra is looking to do with their possible power plant, but there's a little differences here because they're going to try to stretch range. Like we've always said, Jet Terra is a little bit further ahead in some areas because of what they're using for their power plant. And it looks like Rolls-Royce has got that same ideology for some of these manufacturers that think we're going to do this all on batteries. They're like, you might need some range. So we got that.
Right.
So without any further delay, not like you've waited anxiously for the last month, but just saying. Anyone? No one. All right.
Yes.
I will take the reins of the show, and I will take us to this article from New Atlas, and this one is basically from New Atlas, and it says that there's a new study here that says video games can actually enhance decision making skills and brain, and this is through brain imaging, right? So they basically do some MRIs kind of stuff, and it's actually a pretty cool read. You got to take a look at it, right? It says in this article they say that there's a great deal of attention often that negative, connotation of video games, but they took people that were young subjects and they did a study, and they took a look at people that were playing strategy games for more than 5 hours per week, and that were 19 players. So they took 28 real classified video game players versus 19 that were non-players. And they did an MRI with these participants, and they found out something that was really unique here. And they put them up to a task set of doing things. And basically they found out that the video game players themselves had improved performance decision-making on tasks. And they correlated to specific changes in the node and network activities across the lingual gyrus, what they're saying it, and supplementary modal areas of the thalamus. Now, this is potentially mind-blowing in the sense that they said that it didn't make a difference even if you played action games or RPGs, whatever the case may be, is because your skills appreciated no matter what group you were in. Now, again, they're not saying that there aren't negatives compared to what people have said are out there about video games. But what they're saying is, either if you played 50 hours of a first-person shooter or 50 hours of a slower-paced strategy games, the benefits were still there, and you could reap rewards, which is fantastic. So, what's your take on this? Because there's another tie-in that you've got with piloting.
Yeah, of course. I mean, anybody who's watched the channel any amount of time back when we were kind of getting started, we do play games when we have the time. So we're avid gamers, been playing, all the way back for, if you're gamers in the chat, if you know Zelda, regular NES, Sega Dreamcast, all this crazy Atari, real old stuff. Been playing since then, so tons of playing games when I have the time. So it's not too surprising some of the results that I see, but I will, just before we started the show, I was talking to Mike and saying, I seem to notice in myself a increase in spatial awareness when playing games. I could visualize a level. I came to be really good at visualizing levels. So if you're in a game that's a competitive game, let's say it's an arena, there might be places to hide and, elevated positions, but those are things that you learn. But I could literally close my eyes and see the arena, see the places that I wanted to go to, in my mind, and kind of remember that. That helped me with spatial awareness in the real world too, in the same way. And not to kind of get off, it's going to relate it to something else. Talking about memory and recall, when you talk about the benefit of video games, is if you've heard of the thing called the memory palace technique on how to remember things. It's same kind of general way where if you're trying to learn something new, if you take down pieces of it and then you visualize in your mind just a building or a room where these pieces of information are on a shelf. And you do that often, and you, of course, repeat as you would do with learning something new, and you would practice it and recall it a few times over the week. You get really good at doing recalling that information because you have correlated it to a spatial awareness. You've kind of tagged it as another piece of information to that. You say, okay, I'm trying to remember these numbers. Well, now I remember, that number, whatever, was on my left when I walked in this room, and then the next number was above that or on the right. And then just by that having extra spatial awareness, you can really improve your ability to just improve memory. And there's been studies on that too. But anyway, I'm kind of talking. But the point being, it doesn't surprise me too much. Obviously, like you mentioned, video games can have negative things as well.
I want to touch on that really quick, though, right? Yeah. Because look, here's the thing: doctors years ago did studies on the fact that playing video games before surgery made their hands steadier for some gaming, and they were doing mostly Mario style games, right? This is way back when, and they realized that it kind of warmed those hands up. But the correlation between and it doesn't, and look, basically your brain trains itself to certain activities the same way that we'd take a person into a helicopter and teach them how to fly. It's basically the world's biggest video game. The interactive features are just different. You're using a much larger input device, but you're also playing with a much different subject matter, right? And we would be able to cognitively train people at an hour and a half daily, usually within 8 weeks. They would become a private pilot, and then that training, would facilitate forward, more and more. So we could see that being very similar in the strategies that would be used to produce cognitive results that would be measurable by an MRI. However, I would also caution to say that also you could also be addicted to video games and the return on the serotonin that your body gives you, right? And at the same level, that also brings up your level of awareness in other areas, which could bring the negative effects of onset of like anxiety and other things because your body is hyped up for that interactive action, right? So it's not all positive, but it is nice to see that they're finally recognizing that there could be a way that video games in the future could be used more specifically to train you for cognitive abilities that would be more beneficial in the future. And I will say this, right? There have been a host of video games in the last 10 years, I'd say, that specialize in crafting, survival, and growth of skills of really attaining different items in the game and building upon your logic and your ability to create and survive. And those games probably might even, build your logical skills a little bit better because you might get some cognition of, well, I need this to get to there as well. Interesting.
Right. Yep.
Because
There's some more abstract concepts and planning rather than just reacting.
Right.
Some of those games, if you think about the deathmatch or the arena games, you're kind of reacting. I mean, like I mentioned, there's some planning, the level you want to plan where you want to go, and some forethought. But I see where you're going with some more abstract concepts, still benefiting by using video games as a vehicle or a way to practice.
Correct.
Yep.
And like, let's just take for example, Raft, Valheim. Okay, these are basically go out hunting and gathering style games that give you that kind of reward where you're building upon this level system of I need this object to get to that object. I need this object to build this object to get to the next object. Right. But even so, there's a mix of skills inside of that in of itself. And it'd be interested to see how many people really got even more cognitive development. But hey, a lot more to talk about on this one. I want to hear your guys' feelings about it in the comments below. So let us know what you think. If this study went too little into its information, maybe they need to do a greater in-depth study, or maybe the benefits just aren't there because there's too many negatives. I don't know. Let's hear from you guys out there and let us know what you think. Yeah. And like, subscribe, follow. I haven't said that in a month, so I almost forgot. But
thank you for all the support.
Yeah, thanks for the support. We appreciate it. And go play a video game if you feel like you need some mental awareness.
Yeah.
Well, didn't give me a sense of humor there, did it? All right. Next, Corey's going to take the reins and talk to us about this one from Plane and Pilot and a light jet that's entering the marketplace. So off to Corey.
Oh, yeah. You want me to
is that the one?
Are you?
Wait, am I doing? Wait, who's doing what?
I
Wait.
think, yeah, you're doing that one.
Oh, then you're doing the Drolls. Oh, okay. Then you're doing the Rolls-Royce. Hey, guess what?
I'm doing Rolls.
All right, wait.
Yeah.
And Dean. Try this again. And now we're going to hand it off to Corey, who's going to talk to us about the Rolls-Royce Turbogenerator and how it's going to contribute to the development of the eVTOLs and the VTOL market and their range. So with that said, Corey, take it away, sir.
Perfect. Yeah, this next one comes to us from the Rolls-Royce website for the press release, but also new Atlas website we commonly take a look at and just see what's going on. Basically, it says a new Rolls-Royce is coming out with a new power plant. It's a turbo generator, and they are looking to and are directly marketing this to the eVTOL market, the emerging eVTOL sector. So basically, what's going on, if you guys are following the eVTOL sector at all, urban air mobilities, you'll know that that whole market is trying to go mostly electric. There's some other ones in there with hydrogen and whatnot, but mostly electric, right? Electric power plant, the power plants, or the rotors and whatnot. So battery tech, as we've talked about on the channel, is something that is not quite where the market would want to be to really extend that range out for a lot of these, or payload mass for a lot of these operations. And so Rolls-Royce saw obviously an opportunity there. Rolls-Royce, if you're not aware, they do a bunch of stuff. Obviously, you may recognize they do automobiles and whatnot, but they do a lot with gas turbine and gas power plants as well. And this is a fully integrated gas turbine that they are using to generate energy or generate electricity. And so it's their turbo generator. So they're saying this is a fully integrated unit they're working on. It's from 0.5 megawatt output to 1 megawatt. And they are looking and working to package everything you need in this one unit. They're going to say it's fully integrated with the gas turbine, the generator itself that would convert the energy to electricity, and all the electronics to control it and monitor and all that. So all kind of one that you would need to really move it over to your eVTOL that you're developing. Some other caveats, just something to mention, that's also going to dovetail into Rolls-Royce's idea of sustainability. Moving forward with their green initiative. So this power plant should be either powered by a sustainable aviation fuel, the emerging market where they offset carbon emissions with however they generate their fuel for these gas turbines still. Or they also said provisioning for hydrogen. I just want to throw that in there because I want to see what you thought about that too, as a possible combustible gas. This kind of reminds me, of course, we just talked on one of our last shows about Turbotech, the power plant that Jet Terra is looking to convert into a turbo generator, and this is kind of just right on point. Rolls-Royce comes out with their talk to this as well. So Mike this is definitely something. Rolls-Royce is no stranger to making things in the gas turbine world. So, yeah, Mike, what's your 2 cents?
I've always had the 2 cents on this one. I think I've told you many times that the way that you're really going to revolutionize and evolutionize the way that people look at electric aviation is you need an onboard turbine device. That's what you need, right? Now, the fact that some see this as a propulsive device, which I think is actually more beneficial, and others see this as just another generator. Look, the one thing is that this could give you a maximum benefit in the air if you're running electric engines. Suddenly this little thing could turn on and give you a little boost. You take off purely electric power, no turbine power plant. You get 15 miles away from your urban area and you ignite this little bad boy. You give yourself that range boost that you really need in order to make this successful. However, for the manufacturers that have already said that they're going to go full on electric, does this play well into their plans? Because now they might have to do some onboard redesigning on the fly of these devices to harness one of these things on board. So if it's not initially in your plans, it may not be something that you can throw in there all of a sudden. Plus, you now have a different component that these companies are going to have to factor in if they haven't put this in their program is a consumable weight that they didn't have on board before. So their CFG is now going to have to take that into consideration that they have a consumable weight. Now, they could always just say, we're going to throw out 80% of the battery density that we have in this area and just go to a fossilized fuel to make that difference and jump.
Right.
And now we're going to make it hydrogen, which is going to, really change that whole perspective. I like the idea.
Yeah.
I know that this is where they've had to go. I know that I've hammered other manufacturers all along and said that their range is going to suffer if they're purely electric, that they're going to be up against a lot of conditions that could detriment them at any time. I think this is good for them. I think this is good for the industry. But I also think that it takes a key leader like Rolls-Royce to make that type of decision and say, look, we know you guys can't get into this business, but this is our business. You let us do this. And we'll do it. Good for them.
Yep. Yeah, my last thoughts, I also agree with you. It's certainly something that the industry needs to at least cover the gap that is battery shortfalls. Because if you go look out and you do 5 minutes of research on the internet about eVTOLs, electric eVTOLs, obviously they want to go a little electric, and they talk about range and we talk about speed, and we constantly are running up against, they're battery limited, right? The big benefit, of course, with batteries is you can charge your battery up and it's the same weight as when it's pretty much empty. Not exactly, but pretty much, right? Whereas you have anything with fossil fuels, you need to obviously calculate and obviously the weight of the fuel when you take off. And then, of course, the CG is going to move around because you're burning the fuel, and there's a whole bunch of stuff, the performance that goes into that. But one thing I wanted to mention that just came to me as I'm thinking here is TBOs, right? There's now maintenance to be done on a fossil fuel power plant on board now.
Right.
Which they have to factor into cost of running per hour, and then many possible maintenance downtimes, because it is a gas turbine engine.
Sure.
Just now it's not running a shaft, with the intent of turning a propeller or rotor. It's just turning a generator and generating electricity.
Well, there's one other thing.
Sure, but it's still going to need some kind of maintenance. So that, and the fluids that go along with the maintenance, the oils.
Right.
There's still going to be that stuff on board. So yeah.
But here's a bigger question that just popped in my head. Right? Do you really want to be on a jobby for over 150 nautical miles at a speed of 150 miles an hour, right? So here's what is going to be a huge benefit for somebody like a Jetoptera compared to something like a Jobby, and what I'm seeing that this could be a bad thing, right? I don't want to sit on one of those things for an hour and a half at 150 knots and only go 200 nautical miles when that is right at the cusp of where I'm saying I'd rather be in something bigger. Right, that is really at the point where I'm going, maybe that Boston, DC corridor, this isn't the right place for this, because that speed is going to play that enhancing factor. So that's why I've always said, over 150 knots, it smooths out the ride quite a bit. But once you get to that 200 number, that changes that element of, hey, if you get this thing to go 250, and I know that I could cover that same distance now, 45 minutes. I still want to be on one of the smaller guys rather than have to go through the airport security and everything else and just throw on my briefcase and do a onesie twosie up and down, right? So I'm going to imagine that Rolls-Royce has done some very specific marketing on this, but you're right about the other component there, right? That you were just talking about, that as you add in this timeout unit also on board the aircraft, your maintenance costs are going to go up per mile. So you're starting to see where this is going to be something that we've talked about often, which is they're going to develop this market around principles and numbers that they think are going to be beneficial, but they're going to find out in the real world how much it's really going to cost to make it profitable.
Yep. Yeah, I wonder who exactly is going to put this power plant or a comparable design power plant in their eVTOL.
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling, like you said, to kind of touch on the end of that too, I feel like it would be longer ranges or commercial cargo that's short haul that, a plane wouldn't do, a small plane.
Right.
So you're looking at this, maybe, I don't know, maybe 100 miles, 150 miles. Yeah, that you want to do quicker, but also they were mentioning, if you look through the videos, Rolls-Royce is saying, maybe this engine would be used to supplement takeoff power, increase takeoff power. It's going to increase noise.
Yes, that's true.
At least some of it. And we talk about noise as being one of the big hurdles to eVTOLs. So if noise goes up, maybe this is only operating in an airport, and then boom, now you're thinking about cargo again, because you're not talking about city to city intertransfers with passengers, because that's the electric, urban drone, urban air mobility kind of thing that's going on too. So I don't know. I'm interested to see where this goes. Who in the market picks this up? I think it's a great solution, but I'm wondering where it goes.
There's a it's punny to say you're interested in where this goes. Just saying, because I mean, there you go. Yeah, take it away, because there's something I want to close out the segment, but I want to add on to something after it that's a little bit more inherent to its own conversation. So go ahead, close it out, because I'm done with that one.
Cool. So thanks for hanging out. Please, thanks for all the support. Like, share, subscribe. You guys know the deal. But thanks so much. And if you like this stuff, come on back. We'd love to hear the comments down below. What you guys think of, obviously, urban air mobility, drones, eVTOLs, but also, Rolls-Royce saying, hey, turbogenerators.
Way to go.
And who do you think would pick up this turbogenerator as a application?
There you go.
So, all right.
So here's something that just shot in my mind, and this is what I thought about as a turbogenerator, right? It might not be the quietest thing, but if you're not worried about highway speed noise, right, and you really wanted to take something like an Aptera or a Lucid at this point and bury one of these things inboard, because you're not worried about it actually doing a runaway and giving you a 200-mile-an-hour vehicle, but you want the range extension, and this thing can fit down the tunnel ram, and you just have to worry about dissipating heat or whatever the case may be, or getting it down in size where it's literally just giving you the kilowatt hours that you need to keep the batteries topped off, right? So
would you believe me if I told you I had this exact idea for a car?
Yeah, well, of course. And I think there's lots of people that did, but
I mean, 12, 20 years ago.
Sure. And the machining capabilities.
A tiny generator, a tiny turbine in your car that doesn't provide thrust, that provides electricity. You're
there, right? But look, jet engines, little baby jet engines that are basically on the toy side of things that are in the RC marketplace. you know, those don't do the whole trick because they're built to generate thrust, and to take those and convert them to generators is not the ideal thing, right? So nobody knows what the RPM of this thing is going to really run at. At least we didn't do the research yet to know how loud it's going to be and so on and so forth.
I looked for a few things, but I didn't find it just yet. It might be out there, but I haven't.
So with all those things involved, and this is what, when you said where this thing really wants to go, I went to myself and I said, look, if I wanted to get from here to Tampa, right, that's roughly 130 miles, right? Driving distance, a little shorter straight line distance, right? I need that speed. I still need that speed to be about 200, because anything over 45 minutes, it's almost not worth it to make the trip. And because the dollars that I have to pay, especially in today's gas price, right? The dollars that I'd have to pay and the inconvenience of possibly hitting traffic and timing things out, man, it's got to save me time. Time is money in this factor. And it's going to put a little bit more of that emphasis on speed. I think speed is going to be a factor that right now, 150, you got to be over that 150 miles an hour in order to make this thing a profitable seat and want to throw all that equipment. That's my thought.
Yeah, if you're doing city to city transfers, I agree totally. Versatility and maybe how quiet they are is probably inner city stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Right? Inner city stuff, you know, 50
and turnaround time too, inner city stuff. You know, it's got to be like a taxi.
All right. Well, it sparked some conversations there, because to see Rolls-Royce get into it all right. We got more for you just before we close it out tonight, and I'm going to take the helm here. And this one comes to us from actually Plane and Pilot, and it's a new single-engine jet that's coming out. It's a very light jet, but this one is on the very, very light jets category. It's actually quite unique, and it's by Metal Master. They're the ones that are actually producing this bad boy. And what is it? It's the LR. Hold on.
The Flaris.
Yeah, the Flaris. LAR01. Okay. Pretty nice design here. Thing's pretty nice. Gotta say that it's actually a beautiful looking aircraft. Small, kind of on the same size, but not really as the Diamond Vision jet that they've got out there. However, that this little guy's flying out there, but there's some very interesting specifications on this bit. All right, so here's some of the specs on it that you have to go through. First of all, it's got automatic spin recovery. You only need a PPL to fly it. The stall speed that I've calculated now is 62 knots. A little higher than I anticipated, but still not uncomfortable. However, top speed, 415 knots at flight level 250, 25,000 feet. Okay, with roughly what they're saying, I think the range was, what was the range?
2,000
right?
miles. That's a quick conversion. I'm not sure that's right. I have to look it up again, but it's about 2,000 miles.
That's a pretty good mix right there. They're in a pretty decent territory of what you could be using this aircraft for. Now, we don't know the full-on price of it yet. But if the design stands up to what it's got on board, basically saying that you're going to have the Garmin G600, it's got the automatic spin recovery, it's got the parachute system on it, so it gives you a lot of the benefits that you want in an aircraft like this. I think they might have a seller. This appeals to a very small segment, but one that could be quite lucrative. And if you hammer this marketplace perfectly well for those that want to make that jump in speed and performance from their private aircraft, this thing could be a hot seller. But this marketplace has seen its downturns before in the very light jet categories. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, as you said, the very light jet categories had a bit rough. There's been, I'm thinking like Honda Jet, and as you said, Cirrus, and there's a Diamond in there. And but yeah, I think for someone who's not in the market for a business jet, I'm just imagining people that are looking for something that can get them from place to place a bit quicker than, like you said in the last segment, driving.
Right.
But also not break the bank. Maybe these are your business people that are, but we're not talking like multi-billion-dollar businesses, but still a business that looking to get around and has some clients that they need to go see. This certainly could work. And as you said, only needing a PPL. Obviously, we don't want to get into regulations here, but you'd need, depending if you flew yourself or whatever, but still, you wouldn't need ATPL to get yourself into one of these. And, I'm sure you could find somebody to help you fly it. I mean, down here it says a manufacturer is aiming for a base price of $2 million. That apparently includes some Garmin avionics. Of course, the sky's the limit on avionics. But
you did it again.
That's neither here nor there. But anyway, So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. I did see that this power plant's the same one in some other light
It
jets.
is.
So
So
it's interesting to see that its performance specs are claimed to be better. One thing I think I mentioned to you before, I do want to say on here as well, is they talked about engine out scenarios. We always look at engine outs to kind of think
mhm,
about how efficient the plane is at
right.
gliding, how its drag coefficient and whatnot. And it did say, let me find it. I know I need it again, but it says, okay, exceptional lift to drag ratio of 18. It's almost like a glider. Drop shaped semi-monocoque fuselage. They say it can glide 18 kilometers for every kilometer of altitude loss
Mhm,
with the power offsetting. And then it also mentions it's robust enough to land on 250-meter grass strip if need be, right? So you're thinking they're throwing that in there to kind of help out the maybe less experienced the private pilots, right?
right.
Hey, if something does happen, if you really needed it to land somewhere, you don't need a big long runway, and you can glide pretty well also. So
Well, the other thing is it's got a, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, it's interesting.
It is because it also has a
No,
single
no,
stick
that's okay.
design, right? That's one thing that's interesting about it. They say it's 1.5 million,
Oh, yeah,
right? They
yeah,
say
yeah.
it's 1.5 million. I just got the picture of the cockpit up there. They say 1.5 million to get in. They're saying that it's $1.2 per mile when it's flown, and it has an average cost. Now,
Okay.
if it says, and this is where they get their top speed of 415, it says that you're going to spend $450 an hour in operation, right? Now,
Is that
that
maintenance
includes,
cost?
so
No, that's not. Oh, it is including
I would
maintenance
assume
costs?
that's what's it's including in there, right? So that sounds to me
Okay, all right.
feasibly, right? So now let's put this in,
Oh yeah, here it is. Direct
yeah, direct
operating. Yeah,
operating,
yeah.
right?
Okay.
So here's the thing,
Yeah, it
under
is. It is
yeah,
450.
450, right? So the purchase, you go to purchase over here
Hmm.
on their website, and they say it right here. They say the economy, it's unparalleled in terms of purchase and exploitation costs. It says operation 1.2 per nautical mile, and then
Hmm.
450 an hour, right? So look, that throws you in a category. If the range is 2,000 nautical miles, if you're an East Coaster and you want to do a Florida to New York flight, which is a popular category, people flying like, snowbirds that might have this type of discretionary income. Well, damn, right? These people just might have gotten themselves in the best ticket going because you leased this bad boy, right? Now you're going to pay like a couple pretty penny per thousand per month on the lease, right? I'm sure it's going to be
Hmm.
probably like 15, 20,000 per month. But when you take the thing for a flight and you've got this at your disposal, that's a nice little machine, right? I don't think now commercial operation. There's not. This is not going to be the Uber of the skies, get you up and down the Northeast Corridor. No, but it shows promise if
Right.
you got the cash. If you want to throw the capital out there, I think you got a shot.
It's interesting. Yeah. I mean,
I'd fly it.
it is interesting to see what's out there for again, like I said, light jet market because it's been interesting market to kind of keep track of
I'm so
that segment.
I'm wondering how they get over the performance variant on the PPL, because that to me sounds a little sketchy, because you have retractables and you have a speed that goes over 250 knots, so you're gonna hit that performance
Hmm.
wall. But
Right.
sure.
I also was trying to find it, did not, unless you did. What does it talk about IFR at all anywhere? I have I have not seen it. I might have missed it, but I just haven't seen it.
Well, here's one other thing I don't see. And this, just because I don't see it doesn't mean it's necessarily not true. I don't see any forward leading edges that are anti-ice capable. Okay, which would be an issue.
No, I don't see
I don't
anything
see
on them. They
anything
just look
anti-ice. I
smooth.
don't see anything that would indicate that it's got any sort of bleed system, except for maybe the creating the ability to breathe. And I would have to think that there would be a level of IFR certification because the Garmin's on board, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's there.
Well, yeah, the avionics can probably do it. Well, I'm sure the avionics can do it, but I don't know. Yeah, the aircraft. That's what I was asking. Well, because I was going there about IFR certifications, but also just basic. What is it certified as? Category class.
Don't
Like
know.
I'm not class, but the category is it.
I
I mean, what is it? I don't know. I was just trying to find it. So
So I'm looking at the website, and they've got a movie of it flying.
let's see. Hold on.
Interesting stuff. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see more about it. Anyhow, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. It's an interesting design. It could have a lot of potential to hit that nail on the head for those people that just want to make the jump in performance. 1.5 million. Now, I've never seen one of these ever come in exactly on price in this market. Just saying. But let you guys. What you got? Something else to add? Experimental. Oh.
Special experimental in 2021. Next stage, they're looking at EASA CS23 certification. So that's just experimental right now.
Yeah. Well, that means no going to the.
And it looks like experimental only in EASA, I'm guessing. That's what it looks like. Or the Aviation Authority of Poland, which I don't recall off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's kind of a downer.
But anyway, yeah, no, sir, it's experimental currently.
VFR only.
From what we can tell.
All right, folks, let us know what you think in the comments below. Likes, share, subscribe, and we'll start bringing you more information just like this. That's all we got for you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah. Yep. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Again, let us know in the comments below whatever your thoughts are. We much appreciate it. If you've got anything you'd like us to talk about, please put that down there below as well. And thanks.
Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you real soon. Take care. Have a great one. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See ya.
Thanks, Harris. Take it out, Harris Eller.
Appreciate it very much. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Bye-bye.